Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back to the Order. I'm Celtic Templar, and today y'all, we're actually going to be taking a look at Celtic politics. Oh boy, this one's going to be a very weird one, I can already explain to y'all. Now, when we understand Celtic politics, we automatically think of modern day politics, or in such of that of Roman politics. But, in truth, Celtic politics is a lot more different and somewhat similar. And in fact, are actually probably better than Roman and, well, modern politics combined. For one major reason, Celts did have a form of voting, and as well, they did have a form of election. Celtic politics were what you might call a different variation and sort, comparing that to what the said Romans and Greeks used. For one major form, Romans and Greeks actually did describe what Celtic politics actually sounded and looked like, to what it actually was and how it actually worked. But pretty much when we think of Celtic politics, we automatically think of a major Celtic chieftain controlling over a vast amount of land and him being the only guy around. Not exactly true. Celtic politics is a lot more diverse than that. For one, Celtic politics has a mixture of kings and nobles all in general, such as from the slaves to the commoners, middle class, and even druids. And in such, we're actually going to cover this from pretty much from the forms in history before the Romans and then after the Romans actually came to their entire timeline. However, areas that were untouched by Rome, such as Scotland and Ireland, actually kept to these Celtic forms of their politics, or pre-Roman politics, long after which they had actually, well, been declared as, no longer used. And in fact, this could easily be seen long after the Romans left Britain, for example, and the Celtic Britons elected their own said kings. Problem is, there were also many conflicts along with that. So, maybe we should actually get right into it. Alright, now let's first take a look at the said pre-Roman existence of politics. As we can understand, Celtic politics was as follows as in this type of diagram. For one major reason, this type of design of diagram is how it follows. Slaves, as we saw, were the lower type of area of the pyramid. In doing so, they did not have any form in same politics. However, the Celtic Commoners, on the other hand, they did. In such, they could vote on who could actually become a representative to, well, inform the said middle class. The middle class are groups of warriors, they are groups of merchants, blacksmiths, that type of sort of thing. Commoners are most of the time the farming folk. So farmers get to elect one type of representative to actually speak for the said commoners to the said middle class. Middle class can also actually vote on who could actually become their noble. A noble can actually be elected by the middle class groups, among the middle class anyways, to actually become said noble. Such as, for example, if a said nobleman dies, he could easily, well, be replaced by his son, yes. However, if that son falls out of favor of the Celtic people, such as, say, rapes a woman, steals land from a said fellow citizen of his tribe or something like that, he can easily be removed, and then someone of the middle class can be voted into a noble. As well, this also is also the same with kings and chieftains. Kings and chieftains can easily be elected into the said, well, from nobles to the middle class area. However, this could easily describe of the said tribe. This tribe could actually elect their said chieftain. And in such, chieftains are pretty much of the tribe area. So yeah, as we can understand, the tribe is one of the major things that of which holds into it. Nobles are that of the clan, as we can understand. So many people might want to also know, okay Templar, then if it comes down to it, how come this type of group right here, in chieftains and kings, how can they actually go from being a noble to becoming a chieftain or king? Simple. Since the nobles are a part of the clan system, then in such, the tribe can actually easily elect a said king or chieftain. However, these also had to be added in with the factor of the Druids. The Druids are the ones who have the final say in all the matter. Now, even though we can understand it in generally, Celtic style culture is incredibly diverse in its own form. So in such, the clan can easily, so in other words, nobles of the said clan can be elected from the said middle class. However, a clan entirely can elect a said king. In other words, one nobleman or say a nobleman from one area of a village of the clan, and of this clan can easily elect their said king. Before anyone starts thinking, oh, Templar, this is just like Scottish politics. No, this is a lot different. And in such, this type of form in becoming of Celtic kings and chieftains can easily be elected. For example, let's take Casavellanis of the Casavellani tribe, who in which was elected into becoming a said king/chieftain. And in such, he was controlling most of Britannia at the time of Julius Caesar. It was only because of Julius Caesar that caused his own problems and downfalls. So in such, it's kind of stated by this type of form that, in general, Casavellanis was actually elected into becoming a said king and ruler. However, if without Julius Caesar, he might have become what they call a high king. High kings were elected not just by said other kings, but also the Druids themselves, who have final say in all the matters. A major example is Brian Boru, Casavellanis, Boudica, and as well as Vercingetorix. And such, they all had to be elected by the Druids to become high king or queen. Without them, there is no approval. So in such, that's actually how the Celtic style of, well, politics works before the Romans. But now many of you might wonder, okay, Templar, what might happen if it's after or during the time of the Romans? Well, let's take a look. Okay, now we've gotten into the weird ones. Now, just like with the Celts, slaves do not have any right to vote. However, commoners, like farmers and such, did. And did they have the same type of form with the middle class, meaning both the commoners and middle class have the said same voting rights, meaning they can both vote for a said noble or representative for the said area of the governorship, meaning they could actually have representatives to be voted to speak with the governor, which was the main form. However, nobles themselves also could be voted in, but they were no longer allowed. Instead, they were now elected by the Roman Senate and as well the emperor himself, and as which the emperor can also vote for the said kings to keep in power as long as they keep the peace. Problem is, though, it wasn't the king or the nobles that were causing the problem. It was either the governor or the procurator, who in which established laws and governed the land. Problem is, though, both of these guys could easily have caused problems, like we see in the Iceni Revolt, the Gallic Revolt, and as well even the Vercingetorix Revolt, and many other Celtic revolts, and as well even the infamous Teutoburg Forest incident. So, yes, Roman governors and Roman politicians were the problem for these Celtic people. In fact, Augustus Caesar even put down many said revolts, and later learned that it was the governors that caused the problem. So much so that the governors hardly had any say in the matter. In fact, procurators could have easily been executed along with governors. However, due to their established role and title in the Senate and such, they could actually be kept in. This later caused many revolts in the said Celtic regions, which is why Celtic people rather speak with their own people and speak to none other than the emperor, who of which was keeping them in place. Not to the governors, who of which were causing the problem. Many of them actually cut off ties to the said governors and as well even Roman politicians, and rather speak to the emperor himself. It just depended on the said emperor. Such as, for example, if it was Augustus Caesar, he would actually state that the Celtic people must have more rights in the government than the said politicians did. Meaning, the Celtic people should be left to their own devices, as well also keep to the form of taxation. The same could also be said about Claudius Caesar, who kept to that. However, two emperors in general that didn't follow that were Caligula and Nero, who stated the following, that the governors should be allowed to actually, well, administer as many type of forms of taxes as they saw fit, which later actually caused to many other conflicts down the line. Okay, so what can we know from that type of form in general? Well, simple. Rome in the process had corrupt leaders in government, such as governors, procurators, and as well even the politicians themselves, who of which later led to further revolts. However, it was only because of the idealism of Augustus and Claudius Caesar that later put down those said revolts, because one, with every time a Roman emperor caused further problems, it's actually stated that Roman generals had to take charge in order to get rid of it. Problem is, though, after Nero, it's actually stated that Romans had to, well, get better commanders in general to further off, completely make sure that this incident never happened again. Problem is, Celtic politics were still being used and seen during the time of the Roman Empire. Thing is, though, we don't have much detail in matter of what it would have really been like. However, what we do understand is from the time in history, such as post-Roman Britain, for example, we can easily see Celtic idealism of Christianity mixed in with their Celtic beliefs and politics mixed in, actually created the said High Kings. Such as when we also take a look at Brian Boru, who was also of Celtic fashion, but also of the said Christianity. In fact, it wasn't the said kings or nobles that elected him, but actually the said Christian leaders, which later tied into the form of the Pope taking control. Problem is, though, even this had a slight bit of effect of problems along down the line. So in such, bishops and as well could actually elect their next king, or high king in general, to actually take control. But the problem is, even this form actually later died off in 1707 in Scotland. And in such, this was actually the last time we ever hear anything about it. Still though, this can easily be understood why the said history of Scotland itself also kept to the form of the said clan system for so long. In fact, they all actually, well, had allegiance to their king. Problem is, they also all hated each other, which kind of is obvious. So pretty much when we understand about it, the Celtic people had different types of systems. However, whenever I think of Celtic politics, I easily think of medieval feudalism, or in this case, the medieval form of politics that we see in our modern day, such as the knights and so on. But the thing is, this was a lot different and it was a lot harder to understand. Because one, Celtic people can easily elect someone into power and remove their said family from being elected just because they did something really stupid. If only we kept that in general today. Yeah, we already know where this is going. Because apparently, whenever I hear the form of Celtic politics, I believe that was a better idea than whatever the fricking hell we got stuck with. Because one, it'd pretty much be obvious. If I could actually have this in general, me and my American fellow Americans could easily get rid of the idiots in office by now and make it better. In other words, now before anyone starts saying, oh, but Templar, this was politics. This is modern day politics. It doesn't matter. Well, here's the thing. A king and chieftain are supposed to be in there for life. Unless they do something really stupid and they can be removed. In doing so, Celtic people did this so that way there is not any more corruption. If there is corruption, then that said subject or said leader can easily be removed because he caused the problem, or worse, he, well, did not face the problem in general. So and such, yeah, when it comes to American politics, we got screwed over compared to Celtic politics, where we can keep it working. So, if you ask me, I think Celtic politics was probably the better option. But what's your opinion on these Celtic form of politics? Let me know in the comments below if y'all want me to talk any more in subject and history. As well, y'all, if any of y'all have any ideas we should talk about in history, please let me know in the comments below. As well, y'all, hopefully see y'all in the next couple of videos that we will be doing. Anyways, guys, this has been Celtic Templar. Hope to see y'all in the next one. Have a great day.